Welcome back to the Truer podcast. I am your host, Katrina Slade. I am an intuition mentor and the creator of the Truer School of Intuition and Self Knowledge. I'm also your soul sister, and I'm here to give you messages today about change. Change has been a huge theme in my life this past year, and I feel like it's a huge theme in a lot of people's lives. And I feel really strongly that these messages need to come through today. Let me explain how this podcast usually works. If you're new, I always do a meditation before recording this. And in that meditation, I access the Akashic Records. And it's like accessing a higher plane of information, an etheric plane of higher intelligence, and I'm able to receive messages that are for our highest good. I always set the intention to receive the messages that all of the listeners of this podcast most need. And today it was about change. And so I have my notebook here. If you're on YouTube, you can see me with my notebook. If you're not on YouTube, that's fine. Let's get into it. I'm talking about change today because, like I said, I've gone through massive changes. If you haven't followed along, this past summer, I moved with my husband from the east coast of Canada all the way across the country to the west coast. I live in the greater Vancouver metro area now, and I'm loving it. I'm so glad I'm here. This change has been incredible for me in my life, and it's really expansive. At the same time, I was really feeling called to change things in my business. My brand is called Becoming True. And I had this membership that I was hosting every month. I would deliver content every month. I would deliver readings and all sorts of things every month to my members. And it just wasn't really lighting me up. It was feeling stagnant. And so I decided to put that on pause. As I was moving across the country, I was literally driving into the unknown. I didn't know what my business was going to evolve into. I didn't know what our lives were going to look like once we arrived. We didn't know where we were going to live. We didn't know so many things. Let me know if this resonates with you. If you've made a big life change recently or just in the past, you know what I'm talking about. And once I arrived here, once I started settling in, we found our housing, we found our place to live. And I was with a friend, and just a very mundane conversation sparked something in me. She mentioned something about you have a school or you could have a school, and it just sparked something in me. Yes, it's not a membership, it's a school. The whole purpose of my service to the world is to help teach people intuition, how to help people access greater alignment, greater meaning, greater joy in their life, healing, and that all happens through intuition. So that's what sparked the seed for this new evolution of my business, the Truer School of Intuition. It's an online school, plus I host in-person events in the Vancouver area. With that said, I'm going to get into messages for you about change. And I want you to reflect on these and see what resonates with you. What does this bring up for you? And I would love to hear in the comments if you want to share. The first message I got about change is that change equals evolution. And I actually saw it like the equal sign in math. Change equals evolution. And it was shown that change comes into our lives when we really need it. The idea of evolution is that it happens when there needs to be an adaptation to survive, right? As species that have survived, that have not gone extinct, they have adapted, they have evolved over time to adapt to the environment. I was shown that change comes along as an opportunity to evolve, and that is leading us to soul growth. These are the experiences that our soul came here for, right? Our soul can't get that in the spirit world. Our soul needs to be in earth school to have these soul growth opportunities, and change is the constant, right? That's what they say. Change is the constant. Change is the only thing you can rely on because there's always change. if we can look at this through the lens of change being evolution, then it's really helpful to see that as, oh, I am evolving, I am growing and adapting for the better. I am becoming more and more who I'm meant to be, right? So I was shown that when you're going through a period of change, you can ask yourself these two questions. Number one, what is the opportunity in this season of change? Even if it's something you don't feel great about, maybe it's a relationship ending, maybe it's something that doesn't feel good, but there's still a huge change in your life. It could be something that does feel good, like me moving across the country. But ask yourself, what is the opportunity in this? There's an opportunity, and you can miss the opportunity if you're just kind of keeping your head. I'm going to say it's like with having blinders on, and you're just focusing on the negative, or you're just focusing on what's hard, because change is hard. We know that. But if you can open your perspective wider or higher and see what is the opportunity in this? What is there an opportunity for in this season of change? The second question you can ask yourself is, what might this be showing me about myself? What might this be showing me about myself? Because that's really the opportunity in change, is learning more about yourself, growing and expanding and evolving. So those are the two questions I recommend. I'll try and put those in the show notes for you if you want to journal on those. So, if you can flip the perspective, because change brings us the unknown, change is uncomfortable, the unknown is scary because it's out of our control, right? That doesn't feel good. But if we can flip the perspective on change to see it as not as scary, but more as an evolution in our lives, that might be really empowering for you if you're going through a season of change right now. So it's more of this evolution. That's the flipped perspective that I was shown in my meditation. So here's another thing you can do to sort of reframe your mind around this whole thing of season of change. Okay. Think about your younger self. Think about your younger self. And I was shown that we can look back on our lives and like see our younger self as kind of naive. Like, for example, when I was 20, I thought I was going to marry my high school sweetheart, and I thought we were going to just live in our little hometown. And I don't even know what I was thinking, but my life has evolved so much past that and so much more expanded beyond that version of me, that I'm so glad I was sort of forced into change because that relationship ended against my will. But at the time, of course, it was the most devastating thing of my life. But I'm so grateful for it now. So we can look back on our younger selves and think we were a little bit foolish or maybe a little bit blind, because now we have grown through that season of change and looked back on it and seen the growth. So think about that younger version of yourself that thought that their life would be this way or that way, that has such a more naive or more immature view of how their life was going to be. And aren't you glad your life changed? You can look back on this as the more evolved self and feeling grateful for those changes, and imagine the version of you that is, 1 year or 2 years or however long down the road in the future is more evolved, because you're going through a season of change now, and there's going to be like you on the other side of that, and they're going to be so grateful for this change if you go through it intentionally and with courage, and realizing this is an opportunity for you. I was also reminded of the idea of growing pains. This was from another reading I did recently for a different group, but I'm kind of being reminded of it again right now, so I'll mention it. I was reminded of the idea of growing pains. Like when you were a kid, did you have growing pains in your legs or in parts of your body that were growing really fast? Right? Your body's changing quickly. And it doesn't feel good necessarily. It hurts, and there's not much you can do because it's just got to happen. It's part of the natural process. But on the other side of the growth, like you grow up, your body is fully grown. You're glad, right? You don't want to be small forever. You're glad to have that season of growth. And as a child self who is going through the growing pains, it might feel confusing. It might feel not fair. Like, why am I going through this? But it's part of the natural process of life. It's like the flow of life. So if you're resisting change right now, it's resisting the flow of life. And that actually ties in very well with the next message. The next message about change was that change equals intelligence beyond our understanding. And I was reminded how, of course, the seasons change, the earth spins, evolution changes. All the species that exist on earth today exist because they have evolved in some way, right? It's this idea that these things happen automatically. Oh, the earth spins, and so the seasons just automatically change, right? But really, there is some intelligence to it. It didn't happen by accident. So, what if that same intelligence, you can call it God, you can call it source, I like to use the word the divine. What if that intelligence that created the planets spinning, the solar system, the galaxy, the universe. What if that same intelligence is also the intelligence behind this change in your life? And what if it's happening for a reason? You don't know it yet, what the reason might be. Or maybe you do know. Maybe you do know. Like before I moved across the country, I knew I had been wanting to move for years. I knew that I wanted to move because where I was living felt very limiting and small, and my life was not satisfying to me there. And there was other factors contributing to that. But I knew I wanted to be somewhere that made me feel good, that made me feel uplifted and expanded. So for me, the change was exciting, even though it was a lot of hard work. I mean, imagine moving everything across the country and driving and selling your house, and it was so much. But I'm really happy to be on the other side of that. And I'm excited for what's to come, right? Now, if you're feeling a little lost in all this change, like, okay, yeah, Katrina, the planet's spinning, I get it. The leaves fall down in the fall and the new little flowers bloom in the spring. Okay, I get it. But how do I go through this period of change? Maybe those ideas are a little too general for you, right? Well, the good news is I can help you with that inside the truer school of intuition and self knowledge. I am so lit up and so excited to open this school and to bring people in and show them how to connect to their intuition and go through these seasons of life. In this case, we're talking about change, to go through that with intuitive knowing, with intuitive guidance. For example, I just this morning, I sat down and meditated about my business because I am going through this season of change in my business and I'm interested to see. And I'd like to do this every Monday, actually. I did a meditation and I had questions in advance about like structures and systems in my business. I had questions about my divine masculine energy and how that wants to show up in my business, about routines. I had questions about my wellness. I even had questions about the podcast and about events I'm hosting coming up in the future. So I have all of these questions. And I sat down, meditated for a little while, and I got one, two, practically 4 pages of notes because I am able to connect to my inner guidance, my intuition, and I'm able to receive the answers. I feel so excited and so clear now on this next phase of my business evolution. I have so much clarity and I'm so excited because this information that came through is coming from within. I'm not seeking out business mentors who are just telling me a strategy that works for them. I'm not giving my power away to a doctor who's just going to tell me to take a prescription when I know I can improve my wellness in all these other ways. Nothing against prescriptions, but there's so many ways that connecting with our intuition, learning to receive the intuitive guidance from our intuition can impact our life, it can improve our life. In fact, that's why I'm here today. I could go on and on about that, but let me get back to our messages. So, if you're interested in the truer school of intuition, just look at the link in the show notes and you can find out more about that. So, what if this is happening for a reason? I was shown that changes that are happening on the inside, like maybe there's changes happening on the outside of your life, like a job or a relationship or whatever, but there's changes happening in your inner world, in your inner self. And I was shown that these are precious. The word precious came to me. I'm putting that in quotes here. Precious, because that was the word I was given in this meditation when I was in the Akashic Records. I was receiving the guidance for all of you. And I was shown that these changes happening within you are precious. There are parts of you that are ready to sprout and bloom. There are parts of you that are ready to shed and release. And this is all a part of this season of change. So, in fact, you might want to ask yourself these questions. What within me is shedding or releasing from this experience of change? What within me is blooming from the season of change? It might help you to reflect on these questions too. So I was shown that you can give yourself the gift of curiosity and allowing the change, meaning not resisting it or trying to control because the unknown is scary. And that's just sort of a natural human reaction to some change because it's our instinct to survive, right? We want to control, we want to know what's happening. It's our survival instinct. But that can really cut off the flow of life. That can really cut off your opportunity to evolve and expand and have the soul growth if you're only, I just keep seeing the picture of like somebody with blinders on in terms of like just seeing what's right in front of them and not seeing the full scope of what's happening. So if you're only looking at what's hard right now or feeling in victim mode, which by the way, it's fair to feel that way in a lot of cases, but you can go deeper. What is this trying to show me? Why do I feel this way? When have I felt this way in the past? Is this triggering wounds from the past? Because oftentimes that's true. Oftentimes it's our inner child or even our past life self or our ancestral wounding or ancestral traumas that are being triggered in the moment and we don't even realize it. I don't want to dump that on you, but there's a lot there you could explore. And like I said, inside the Truer School, we explore this kind of stuff every month. So just putting that out there. There's more notes here for you, more messages. The inner world. So, like I was saying, that the inside, what's happening on the inside is very precious. So, I was showing the inner world has a depth of richness that is not to be dismissed because you might be too busy with your life to, you know, reflect and do healing work during this time. You might be afraid of what's being triggered within you. Maybe there's this like real resistance to this because you're not aware that there's like a witch wound being triggered from past lives of being persecuted. Or it could just be past lives and it's in the collective consciousness of like, don't stick your neck out. Don't be different. Don't shine too brightly because it's not accepted, because you might get hurt, because you might get rejected. So if you can, don't be too busy for exploring your inner world right now. What I mean by that is just, take some time, sit and reflect. You could pull some cards, you could journal, you could give yourself time for your stillness, for your wellness. For some reason, I'm seeing people in a sauna. Like if you can just have like moments of presence, if you're in a sauna, you're just, sitting there. It's really easy to ignore our feelings or nudge them away. Or if you're receiving intuitive kind of nudges to do something and you're like resisting that, it's easy to dismiss that because of the fear. But keep in mind, this is an evolution. Keep in mind, you don't look back on your past self and wish that she or he or they wish that they had never changed, right? You don't want to still be your 18-year-old self. And if you do, maybe there's a little bit of inner child wounding that you would benefit from looking at and healing. I was shown that these inner changes that are happening inside, they might trigger that fear of rejection, fear of not belonging, because there's probably something happening within you that's making you question the status quo or make you question how your family does things, or I don't know, how things just are in your life. And you might be growing in a different direction from some of the people who really matter to you. And so, of course, that brings up a fear of what if they don't accept the me that is becoming, right? I was shown that oftentimes that's part of the learning of there's a whole reason, there's a whole purpose of this season of change. And if you're listening to this, you are a cycle breaker. You are a trailblazer in your lineage, in your community, in your life, your family. And part of being in that role is you're the first one to, let's just say you're the first one who's sort of awakening in the family, and you're the first one who's interested in meditation or past lives or, intuitive work. Or maybe you're the first one in your family who has intuitive sense that you're aware of already, and everyone else shut down. So think about this. In what ways am I a cycle breaker or a trailblazer in my family? And what fears does that bring up? Because what these inner changes that you're going through, they're not for everyone. Not everyone is going to know how it feels, or not everyone is going to be able to understand, but that's okay. It's okay because you get to have a choice. Do you want to choose A, being true to yourself and your soul's path? Or would you rather choose B, keeping small and stuck to please others? So you're not ruffling any feathers, so you're not sticking your neck out there. It's really this simple. Do you want to be true to yourself and your soul's path, or stay small and stuck? I'm going to put this quotations again, pleasing others to keep them comfortable and happy. I was shown a vision of something that can help us understand this idea a little bit deeper. I was shown the idea of a baby bird hatching in its egg. So, it's in the little egg, and when it hatches, it has to kind of break out of the shell through its own accord. The mama doesn't go and smash the egg open and say, "Come out, it's time to come out," right? It breaks out when the time is right, when it has evolved and grown to the point where it needs to break open. I was shown that the bird doesn't stay stuck in the shell because it's afraid of what's out there. I hope this doesn't sound too harsh, but it's almost like if you're afraid of the next era of evolution in your life, if you're afraid of the changes that are coming into your life, if you're trying to control or resist, that's fear talking. If you're afraid of that, it's like you're the baby bird who's not gonna leave the shell. The baby bird that's like, oh, no thanks. I'm gonna stay here and live my life this small, right? Of course, we don't want that. We don't want that. Even if it's scary, we have to break out of the shell. It's funny that there's so many bird references here, because I just a moment ago said ruffle any feathers. Like, oh, I don't want to ruffle any feathers. And then, like, breaking out of your shell. Like, these are all phrases we use, and these are bird related. And I was shown that birds are symbols of freedom. They fly, they're free, they can go anywhere. They're symbols of freedom, right? And so, this evolution that's occurring in your life, these changes that are occurring in your life, can bring you freedom if you're open to evolving, if you're open to these inner changes that are happening, if you're open to stepping into your soul's highest path. And there's really a freedom on the other side of this season of change. So I hope that helps you. I'm really sensing that strongly for you, that it's leading you to a freedom. It's leading you to that more evolved self that feels more themselves. I don't still feel like that 20-year-old self who wanted to marry that guy because I didn't see a bigger vision for my life. I see a huge vision for my life now, and I'm so excited about the changes. And I know they're leading to more freedom. I know they're leading to who I'm meant to be. And that's true for you too. I hope you can see that. I hope you can really feel that and accept that. So let's just pause for a moment. Even if you're driving or walking or whatever, just take a moment if you can and feel the feeling of freedom. Imagine there's so much more freedom in your life, that feeling of being free. It's almost like a lightness and an expansiveness. That's how I feel it. Take a moment to just imagine if you lived your life feeling that way now. I get this little like excited feeling like, "Oh, I'm so excited," right? Imagine your life feeling so much more free and expanded. And I'm telling you, this is really strongly coming through for you, for the listeners, the people in the audience watching this podcast. This is your truth. This is the truth of this season of change. It's happening for a reason. It's bringing you a more evolved self. It's bringing you more into your truer path. And there's an intelligence behind it. It's not happening to victimize you or to trigger you. It's not happening for any bad reasons. It's happening for your highest good. It really is. Those are all the messages I have from the meditation. I'm just going to feel for a minute, see if there's any other messages that want to come through right now. I don't know if this means anything to you, but I keep hearing the word owl, owl, like the idea of the owl. We were just talking about birds. And in fact, recently, one of my new friends here texted me a photo of this beautiful big owl that she sighted that was in her backyard. And she said this, it's so rare. I don't think I've ever seen an owl in this backyard. I've seen them, other places. And there might be, maybe the owl is meaningful to you, or maybe the idea of having signs, looking for the signs. You can ask your guides, please show me a sign that I'm being supported right now. You can thank your guides. I think one of the prayers I've learned from Kyle Gray, he's a teacher about angels. He always teaches people to thank their angels. And in my case, I kind of include my angels and my guides all in one. I call them my divine team. So I always thank my divine team. And you can say, thank you for showing me the evidence of your support. Thank you for showing me the signs that I need to feel your presence, or whatever feels right for you. Wishing you all the best in the season of change. If you could use support, if you're feeling called to work with me or to be supported, look at that link I'm going to attach in the show notes, the Truer School of Intuition and Self-Knowledge. My plan at the moment, it might change, but my plan at the moment is to open in early January. So if you sign up early, there's going to be a bonus. You can sign up and get for free the Truer Year. It's a program I created last year, And it's still relevant today because it's for the new year time. So it's the perfect time to sign up and get this bonus because you get the truer year. That includes workshops, meditations, and readings. It includes a lot of good stuff to help you reflect on the past year and look ahead for the new year, planting some seeds for the new and processing and blessing and clearing away the old. That is your bonus if you sign up for the Truer School of Intuition and Self-Knowledge. Early enrollment is open, and I would love to have you enroll, have access to the Truer year as your bonus. And if this episode resonated with you, please share, subscribe, comment, all the things, because I would love for these messages and for these episodes to reach more people, because I really feel like I'm of service. I'm trying to help support as many people as I can. Thank you. You are loved more than you know. Bye.
One more thing. I just want to tell you, I love you, and I'm proud of you for doing the inner work, for showing up, and for choosing a truer life. If this episode resonated with you, if it helped you access a deeper truth within yourself, then please share it with someone you love, because the world needs more of us living our truer lives. This has been a Truer Media production. The Truer podcast is created and produced by me, Katrina Slade. Music by Frequently Asked Music. Wordmark by Annika Samples of Incandescent Creative. Cover photography by Lucinda Richard. Time for the really short legal talk. This podcast is presented solely for educational purposes. I am your soul sister. I am a spiritual guide, but I am not a licensed physician, psychologist, or other qualified medical professional. I hope to see you again.